I suspected my wife was planning a divorce, so I moved my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed, then backtracked when her plan backfired. I always believed trust was the cornerstone of a strong marriage, and for most of our 10 years together, I thought we had that. But lately, something shifted. It started small. My wife, Amira, who used to songs while cooking, suddenly became silent. Her phone was always in her hand, and she turned the screen away. The second I walked into the room, I didn't want to be paranoid, but it was hard to ignore. Then she changed her passwords. I asked her why. She brushed it off, said, "Work's getting serious. We're required to tighten security." It seemed plausible, but still it felt off. She started working late too, except her office would call looking for her. More than once, I began to track the small lies. Dinner with her cousin that I'd never heard of. Canceled anniversary plan because she forgot she had an online workshop. I told myself I was imagining things, that marriage had ups and downs. But then came the night that changed everything. I got up around midnight to grab a glass of water. As I passed the living room, I heard her voice low. Nervous, she was pacing. I froze just beyond the doorway. "He has no idea I'll file by the end of the month. The assets should still be joint." My heart dropped. She wasn't talking to friend, she was talking to lawyer. I stepped back into the shadows, barely breathing. The conversation ended shortly after, and she walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. At night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was heartbroken. No, that would come later. I didn't sleep because I realized I needed to protect myself. Amira thought she had it all figured out. She thought I'd just stand there while she blindsided me. But she was wrong. The next morning, I acted like nothing had changed. I kissed her on the cheek, poured her coffee, even offered to drive her to work. Inside, I was burning, not with rage, but with resolve. I wasn't going to confront her. That's what she expected. She'd spin it light, delay her filing until everything was in her favor again. No, I was going to beat her at her own game. Quietly, that same day, I reached out to a financial advisor, trusted friend I'd known since college. I told him I needed to restructure my personal assets fast. Within 72 hours, I'd closed 2 joint investment accounts, moved the funds into newly formed trust in my name alone, transferred the deed of property I bought before marriage into that trust, and restructured my business accounts under a limited liability umbrella she couldn't touch. I even removed her as the secondary beneficiary from my life insurance and retirement fund. Legally, quietly, no red flags. I didn't change passwords. I closed accounts. Everything Amira thought she'd walk away with, it was now out of reach. I even consulted a divorce attorney myself, not to file yet, but to make sure everything I did was legal. That way, when she pulled the trigger, her plan would collapse in her hands. But I wasn't cold, not yet. I gave her a chance, subtle ones. I started small conversations, tried asking her how she was doing, what she wanted from life lately. She always deflected. Once I asked her outright if something was bothering her. She paused, then smiled. "No, babe, everything's fine." And I smiled back, because I had already started preparing for everything to fall apart. She had no idea the floor was about to vanish beneath her feet. It happened on a Thursday. Amira came home early, dressed sharp, makeup flawless, the kind of polish she usually reserved for client meetings. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, manila envelope in her hand. "We need to talk," she said. I knew what was coming. Still, I let her speak. "I felt long and hard about this. I think it's time we go our separate ways. I've already spoken to lawyer. These are the divorce papers." She slid the envelope across the table like poker player laying down royal flush. She expected panic, anger, begging. Instead, I opened it calmly, glanced at the contents, and nodded. "Okay," I said, folding the papers neatly. "I'll have my lawyer review it." Oh, she blinked, caught off guard, but she recovered quickly. "Just so you know, I'm asking for half of everything, the house, the stocks, the rental property, the savings." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You can ask. Doesn't mean you'll get it." That's when her mask cracked. Just little. 2 days later, her lawyer contacted mine. Their tone had changed. He was confused. "We're trying to determine asset values, but your accounts appear to have been closed. The properties are under trust. There's no liquid capital in joint holdings." He couldn't figure it out. She couldn't believe it. Amira had filed thinking she secured jackpot, but she pulled the trigger too late. Everything she thought she was entitled to, gone, legally, cleanly, no trail. Her next move, frantic email. "Can we talk? I think I made mistake." "A mistake?" "No." She made calculation, and misjudged her opponent. I wasn't the same man she thought she could manipulate. I saw it in her eyes. When we met face to face again, not anger, not even sadness, just shock and fear. Just 1 week after serving me the papers, Amira showed up at my office, unannounced. She looked nothing like the confident woman who filed for divorce. No heels, no makeup, just dark circles under her eyes, and trembling hands wrapped around cheap coffee cup. She said she just wanted to talk. I let her in. She sat across from me, silent for a full minute. "And I rushed into this. Maybe we should slow down, rethink things. I almost laughed, not out of cruelty, but out of disbelief. She thought she could undo it all with soft eyes and shaky voice. What changed? I asked. I just realized we have something worth saving. But it wasn't love she wanted to save. It was security, the safety net she thought she'd have after cashing out of this marriage, and now that it was gone, she was panicking. Her tone switched quickly. I made one mistake and you're ready to throw everything away. No, I said, you made several. Filing behind my back was just the final one. Oh, that's when the tears came. Real, maybe. Strategic, definitely. Let's try again. We can do counseling. I still love you. But she didn't love me. She loved the idea of winning. And when that fell apart, she reached for the next best option, damage control. I looked her in the eyes, the same eyes I once trusted with everything. And I said, there's no going back, Amira, not after what you did. I'm not angry. I'm just done. The silence between us said more than any argument ever could. She left quietly that day, holding back sobs, and not because she lost me, but because she realized she'd lost the upper hand forever. A week later, I signed the divorce papers and sent them back. No drama, no arguments, and just clean silence. And Amira didn't reply. There was no apology, no second attempt to fix what she'd shattered. Just silence, and I was okay with that. I'd spent years believing marriage was about sacrifice, about loyalty, about standing by someone even when things got hard. But what do you do when the person standing beside you is already halfway out the door? You step aside. I moved out of the house, took only what was mine, and left everything else behind. Memories, pain, and all the broken promises. Funny thing is, I wasn't angry anymore. I felt free. I started over in smaller apartment. No marble countertops, no fancy furniture, just peace. I picked up old hobbies. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. For the first time in a long time, I was living for me. And Amira, I heard she tried dating again. That didn't last long. Turns out, when you strip away the comfort, the money, and the safety net, some people have nothing left to offer. I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret leaving. But most of all, I don't regret learning one thing. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I saw the signs. I made my move. And when her plan backfired, I didn't gloat. I just walked away with my dignity and my freedom.